Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're diving straight into a chilling, real life paranormal account shared by one of our subscribers, Nishi. Honestly, this story is so terrifying that I need to give you a quick warning before we even begin. If you get easily frightened by the supernatural, well, you might just want to keep the lights on for this one. To really grasp the sheer terror of this situation, we have to start with this frantic warning from Nishi's brother, Nishant. Just picture this. You're sitting in your very own home, in broad daylight, completely relaxed, and suddenly your sibling witnesses this horrific scene unfolding right over your shoulder. Section 1. The Dream House Nightmare. Moving from Ludhiana to Delhi. So, how did this whole nightmare actually kick off? Well, it started with a deeply tight-knit family. Grandparents, a mother, two uncles, a beloved 21-year-old aunt, and siblings Nishant and Nishi. After the incredibly sudden passing of their father in a car accident, they were desperately hoping for a fresh start. So they left all their memories behind in their village near Ludhiana to move to the city of Delhi. And they didn't just move anywhere. They built this absolutely massive korthi, a large mansion-style house spanning nearly 300 to 400 square yards. We're talking luxurious marble floors that even the neighbors would come over just to admire during the construction. By all accounts, it was a dream home built on family wealth, meant to bring them peace and a new beginning. Section 2. The first terrifying encounters. 2 years of peace, followed by darkness. For 2 years, things were actually great, but the inciting incident shattered their peace one ordinary afternoon. Brother Nishant was just sitting with Nishi when he suddenly froze. He spotted a burnt, bloody female entity right behind Nishi, and the only words he could manage were a frantic warning, "Don't look behind you," right before the entity vanished out the metal gate. After that, things escalated incredibly fast. It went from an isolated sighting to multiple family members being targeted. The 21-year-old aunt, trying to test if it was real, pretended to sleep one night and actually saw the entity fly out and sit on the stairs. Then, the grandmother heard eerie laughter coming from those exact same stairs. Almost overnight, the whole house was under siege. You know how neighbors always seem to know what's going on? Well, when the family's grandfather pressed them for answers, they initially played dumb. But as the haunting grew too severe to hide, the truth finally came out. The locals had actually been avoiding the Kothi at night during its entire construction phase. Why? Because they saw bizarre floating lights and heard sounds of eerie laughter echoing from the completely empty stairs. Okay, this next part is pure nightmare fuel. The eldest uncle, who worked as a busy news reporter, comes home late one night. Totally exhausted, he heads up to the second floor, expecting to see a family member standing at the open fridge. But instead, he sees the burnt entity with glowing red eyes casually eating the leftover curds. He literally drops his walking stick and sprints down to the first floor. But when he rushes into his room and locks the door, he finds the entity is already sitting on his sofa, waiting for him with this chilling, unforgettable invitation. "Come, come, I will feed you." His screams were so loud, they woke up the entire house. Section 3. A tragic escalation. The rapid decline of a beloved aunt. Now, we absolutely must address the most heartbreaking consequence of this haunting, which centered entirely on the vibrant 21-year-old aunt. She suffered a horrifying physical collapse that completely baffled doctors. All her medical reports, from blood pressure to hemoglobin, came back entirely normal. Yet she was uncontrollably vomiting blood. Her weight plummeted 15 to 20 kilograms in a matter of days, leaving her looking like a skeleton. And worst of all, she began acting possessed, flashing the exact same bloody smile as the entity. Completely desperate and out of options, the family called for the pati, spiritual cleansers from the Gurdwara, to perform a ritual. These holy men immediately sensed a heavy, dark presence the second they walked in. During the prayers, the possessed aunt violently fought back, trying to break her restraints and vomiting blood while her screams literally echoed through the entire neighborhood. It is just utterly devastating to report that despite these frantic spiritual interventions, the entity's overwhelming presence claimed the life of this beloved young woman. The intense physical and spiritual toll of the possession had simply caused too much severe damage to her nerves. So, the crucial question we have to ask here is, why? What could possibly cause a haunting this severe in a completely brand new house? They built this place from the ground up. Where did all this darkness come from? Let's finally uncover the terrible truth. Section 4. The Gruesome History Revealed, Unearthing the Land's Dark Past. It took the tragedy and the insights of those spiritual cleansers to finally pry open the dark history of this specific plot of land. Years before the Coteau was ever built, a deeply abusive man lived right there. While his wife was away for a month, he actually starved his children. He eventually murdered them, along with the Bengali maid who worked there. When his wife finally returned, he murdered her too. And then, realizing what he had done, he committed suicide by hanging. Suddenly, all those bizarre, terrifying sensory details make perfect sense, don't they? The burnt, bleeding woman with the bloody teeth, that was the murdered Bengali maid, desperately seeking help. And that suffocating, malevolent presence blowing cold air on the uncle, that was the abusive father, a domineering spirit who had vowed from beyond the grave to ruin this new family's progress. Our final section, the lingering aftermath, moving on and searching for answers. As you might expect, following that horrific reveal and the traumatic loss of their aunt, the deeply traumatized family packed up and abandoned the Cothi that very night. But escaping the physical house didn't instantly cure the spiritual and emotional damage. The uncles, in particular, struggled to find stability long after they left, forever haunted by the lingering psychological scars of the father entity's curse. What's really fascinating here is how Nishi handled this immense trauma. Driven by a need for answers, she actually went on to pursue studies in psychology. She wanted to understand if her aunt had perhaps suffered from some hidden, undiagnosed medical or psychological disorder. But you know what? Her entirely impartial pursuit of scientific answers ultimately reaffirmed her belief that what happened to her aunt was genuinely an unexplainable, supernatural tragedy. Now, here is a seriously unsettling fact. It's actually terrifying how easily dark histories are just paved over by modern development. Today, that haunted Cothi is completely gone. A builder bought the land, demolished the house entirely, and constructed a brand new 3-story apartment complex right on top of it, completely hiding that horrific past from the new buyers. So I'm going to leave you with this thought to chew on about the land right beneath our feet. If a beautiful new building stands on cursed ground, does the tragedy simply vanish? Or is it just waiting for the next resident to turn off the lights? Thank you so much for joining us on this intense explainer. Stay curious, and remember, always know the history of the ground you're building on.